meeting in order for the July 17th, Broward County Commissioners. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. The minutes for July 12th is mailed. Any additions or corrections on those?
Move to approve as submitted.
I'll second the motion.
Move the second to accept the minutes for July 12th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Did any commissioner updates or anything?
I attended the Broadwell Health Center District Board meeting and the THS meeting Thursday and fielded several calls concerning the hospital.
I was also on that, at that meeting on the phone. I thought there were some good questions and good discussion.
Yeah, at the same meeting. Pile of phone calls over the weekend. Don't look like we have any COSs. A little ahead of schedule, I guess. Allison, if you wanted to get started on your report.
Yeah, I can. That's why I come early, because you never know, right?
Yeah. Then you get out early.
Yeah. Not too much. I guess a few things I did want to ask or bring up. You probably have heard by now or saw that we got in a little fender bender with the Explorer last week. We was hauling a group of kids to where we're hosting. Well, we're done now. Hosting an exchange group from Virginia 4-H last week, and we were in Yellowstone and gotten a little fender bender there. So the back window of the Explorer is missing. So, and I take full responsibility. The kids were not behaving, and I was getting after them for not doing what they were supposed to, and that's when it happened. So I take full responsibility. It was my fault. The other vehicle is one of our 4-H leaders, and it seems to be fine. So that's good news. And I'm working with Michelle to get it fixed. So I'm gonna go see her after I'm done here. So we've been in touch. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that, and we'll get her fixed and get it back on the road. So it is drivable. It's fully fine, but the back window's not there. The other thing I wanted to ask before I forget again is I don't know if, Mike, if you have an update on the building or kind of where we're at there as far as potential for the future.
We're still working on it,
Okay.
so hopefully something will get resolved shortly.
Sure. Yeah, I know there's lots of stuff
Before
going
winter.
on. Yeah. I just didn't want to lose sight of it, so
No.
that's why I was asking, so it just doesn't get forgotten. So that's why. Other things that have been happening with me, obviously I just said that we were hosting Virginia 4-H. They left last week. They were here for about 5 or 6 days, and they were a wonderful group. They had a great time, and our kids get to go to Virginia next year, and they're very excited now that they've had the opportunity to meet their host
How many went
kids.
here?
We had 8 kids and 2 chaperones. Yep. So we spent a day in Yellowstone. They went to a rodeo. They did lots of family activities, like some did horseback riding. They did fishing for an afternoon. Some got to go boating. Just part of it, of the concept is they get to experience what families in Montana do. And so,
a couple ranching families, so they got to have the ranching experience, and then there was a couple that live in town, so they did other recreational activities, but I think it was a very positive experience, and aside from the little incident, we didn't have any problems the whole time, so it's good news. Shane and Teresa Romo are leaders for that group, and they do a really great job. And so, the other major thing that we've been doing a lot, as you can imagine, is fair. It's coming up in 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, whatever it is. Fair entries for 4-H anyway were due last week, and so we're just processing them and getting all the packets and everything lined up. We are up quite a bit in entries. I haven't looked at final numbers, but just based off of some of our schedules and whatnot, we're up and about everything, which is good. We've worked really hard this past year, and I know I've talked about trying to increase the educational quality of our 4-H program by offering a lot of different workshops and just hands-on learning experiences, especially in the indoor projects, and that I think has paid off tremendously. We've just seen a huge increase in the number of entries, especially in those indoor projects where we had been going down for years. And so we had to pull in an extra judge. This year we actually probably could have used 2 extra judges, but we have one that is pretty versatile, and so we're just going to kind of throw a couple different things at him. But a full other judge was needed this year, so that's a good news. It's a good problem to have, and it's exciting to see that there's a lot of interest. Other things, I did finish up my crop insect monitoring. The good news is the orange blossom wheat midge, we found one the whole entire season. It was the very first check of the year, and so I was really concerned, and then after that, nothing. So that's good. So it's still here, but obviously not at the levels that we're really concerned about it. So that's why we do this, to kind of just watch and see what's going on. Also just finished up the alfalfa weevil monitoring program about 2 weeks ago, and that just goes into MSU for some data collection on that. So we're
Is it about the same as other years?
Yeah, nothing alarming. I only looked at one field, but yeah, it was pretty normal. Yeah.
Get rid of the first cutting, seems like too.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I only had to do it through until the first cutting. So yeah. I've been having quite a few, I feel like an increased number of site visits of field calls this year. I spent one afternoon last week out at the Three Forks end of the county in the Wheatland subdivision, and then in another place that's just south of the interstate there, talking to them about small pasture management, weed control, and those sorts of things. And that was the first time I have done site visits or field visits down at that end of the county. So I'd love to do more. I just don't think that I have a good way to connect with those folks down there, and so I was excited to be able to do that, and so hopefully that'll increase, and because we need to serve those folks down there as well. So I'm already working on some fall classes, early fall classes, like September. We have a food preservation canning class for early September. Also trying to work with our emergency responders. Last year we did a farm extrication exercise in the fall. This year we're potentially looking at doing one on incidents that involve livestock. So a semi-truck, a cattle pot rollover. We had that hog incident a few years back, I don't know if you remember. So something that would involve livestock and vehicle accidents. So still working on the details of that, but that if we get in on the grant that's involving that, it would have to be by the end of September. So. And then I guess the last thing I just wanted to mention, Backyards of Broadwater is the 29th of July, and tickets are on sale. So if you want to go tour some interesting and unique yards and gardens in the county, come buy your tickets. We have them at our office, or Goose Bay Glass, and they're $5 a person, or kids 12 and under are free. I have a couple of master gardeners who have just kind of taken that and ran, and I'm just there to support them and be the cheerleader, and I'm really excited. Hopefully we get a great turnout. So yeah, if you're interested in gardening or have friends or family who are, encourage them to be involved. So with that, that's probably the key things I wanted to bring up. Does anyone have questions, comments, concerns for me?
No, it sounds like you're getting right, both feet into it.
Stay busy. Yeah.
I do have two things. One, those things happen. Don't give it another thought, that's what we have insurance for, I'm just glad nobody was hurt,
Yeah.
so that's a good thing. And the second thing is we were working on the budget, and I was coming back from our last training with Michelle, and she said, you know, it might actually be cost effective for Extension to look at getting their own vehicle.
I thought about that. I didn't know the
Okay.
process to do that, but I've thought about it.
Good.
So I would be very interested if that was a possibility.
Absolutely. We talked about it last week,
Mm-hmm.
and if you wanna start looking like it's state surplus, see
Okay.
if anything, you know, works for you,
Sure.
just let us know, and then we can go ahead and help you with that.
Okay. Awesome.
But it would cut, I think, your travel expenses in the long run. And then also, you know, just like with Julie, she leaves a lot of her stuff in the trunk because she is on the road so much. Same with all our folks that work in the field,
Mhm.
you're no different, so you could actually leave a lot of your equipment just in
Yeah.
your vehicle.
That'd be fantastic. And I'll be honest, obviously I use my car a ton, and for little things, you know, running around here, going to someone, you know, out of town, you know, to look at a tree or whatever, and if I go at a distance, I'll usually, you know, take the county vehicle or ask for mileage, but there's a lot of miles I put on my car that I don't ever see reimbursed, because I mean, that would just be a lot to add up. But yeah, and I have my field kit in my car that I do take with me or take in and out as I go. And yeah, I mean, I'll look at, I can look at surplus and see what they have or other sources. Is there a particular budget or I should be kind of aiming for? Or?
I would say, you know, just find what you need,
Okay.
try and be frugal, you're smart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we need to set a dollar amount for that. You know, if you come in asking for 70 grand for a Suburban, we're probably going to buck a little bit at that.
Sure, don't blame you. I would too.
Yeah.
If I were you, so yeah, okay. Well, I'll just see what's out there. I'm gonna go from there.
All right, yeah, you've been very frugal with your budget, I don't think we need to micromanage that.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah, but good job, I'm really proud of the work you're doing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
As always, you know, I look for any suggestions, feedback that you may have, and if not, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. We seem to stay busy, so I guess that's good.
Okay, no other questions? Well, thank you. You did get out of
Thank
there.
you, Allison.
All right, that's good. Let's get on the next thing.
You got some mail items here, here's some claims. Okay, payroll and the amount of $169,260.49.
Move to pay payroll in the amount stated.
Second?
Okay, move second. Pay payroll in the amount of $169,260.49. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay, we have one for approved claims in the amount of $62,016.64.
Move to pay the approved claims in the stated amount.
I'll second the
Been moved and seconded to pay claims in the amount of $62,016.64. Other discussion, we'll go for vote. All in favor?
motion. Aye.
Motion passed. contributions and everything, and this is for $172,748.16.
I'll make the motion to claim, pay the claim amount quoted.
Second.
Move to second. To pay payroll of $172,748.16. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Here's our lease with Department of Revenue, those two rooms here. Look at those in.
What is the amount, Franklin? That should be stated for the record.
$638.69 per month. $638.69 per month, annual cost of $7,664.28, with an approximate rate of $9.59 per gross square foot per year.
Do you know what that's for, Mike?
That's for the Department of Revenue, right?
Yeah, to be here in the courthouse.
So we're gonna add all the tax mistakes they make onto
Right.
that. We can't do that.
That would be nice, though.
Did you sign that? I'll make the motion to,
And then, okay, I think it takes probably all three of us, I'm pretty sure on this one.
I'll make the motion to sign the lease with Department of Revenue.
A second.
Okay, move to second to sign this lease with the Department of Revenue. Any discussion? No more discussion, we'll take a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Board investments on total loan, this here shows. And the remaining $377,000, $400,000 loan. I don't know what. Well, that should have been all cleared off there as that started that building project. From what I gather.
We never made any kind of a motion or put it on the agenda to actually clear out that loan. When the building project was canceled, that's one of the outstanding bills.
I believe that was,
No, we did that at a meeting, this should have been cleared out.
right.
We didn't, that was for R&R Taylor to pay all their fees, but it actually did not include the Board of Investments intercap loan. So this is above,
I think there was a
What's already been
separate one for
taken
this
care of.
year, because that come up once before.
If I remember correctly, we did discuss that in the meeting and decided to close this, to have this loan closed out. I guess we'll have to check the minutes and see.
yeah, we can't use this loan regardless, because it was for the building project, but we do need to take care of the balance and pay that off. And that's $22,914.58.
There's a receipt for, our mental health grant, amount of $1565.23. There's a receipt for the Broadwater Senior Center, an amount of $1,000. Silicon Valley.
One thing with this LAC, we had agreed that that money would actually go to Board of Health, since the LAC hasn't used it, so we should double check with Doug that this is, if this is for last year, this is fine. If it's for this next fiscal year, then we need to change it to Board of Health.
Okay, okay.
Here's from Roder County Health Services for the attached homemaker contract. They're ready for signature of who's signing.
And what's the total for that, Franklin?
See the total here. I don't see any dollar on that anywhere. Let's see what this next page. See Rocky Mountain Mill here. I don't see any dollars. It's at page 10 for that.
Amount not to exceed $14,713.
Mine will be signed the agent, Area 4 Agency on Aging Homemaker Grant.
I'll second the motion.
Move and second to sign this homemaker grant. Rocky Mountain. All in favor?
Aye.
agenda item here, so. I guess we could go ahead and get started on that. 10:30, Townsend Health System, or discussion for right sizing critical access, hospital and nursing home.
He's here.
And you stepped out for a minute.
Hi. Hi, Julie.
Hello.
How are you doing? Good.
I understand he's on his way, Franklin. He was here just a minute ago.
Oh, okay.
But I thought we were on the
Yeah,
agenda
we'll
at
just-
10:45.
Hang tough for a few minutes then.
You brought the. Oh. I was saying, I don't know if I should at least introduce the provider or the doctor. With all the uproar on Facebook or something. Keyboard courage, do whatever you want. And make any lies you want, too.
wanna introduce the doctor and Jill, or you wanna wait for Kyle? I don't know that you guys maybe had a chance to meet Jill, have you?
Mr. Slifka,
Yes,
if I could just take a minute while we're waiting for Kyle, I would like to introduce our new doctor, Scott Kenny. I know not everybody has met him.
yeah, you bet, go ahead.
And ask if you'd say a few words, doctor.
Well, I'm excited to be here. I don't know if anybody's heard this spiel before, but I am a retired firefighter paramedic. I'm still a union card member from the IAFF. I believe in small communities. I still want to be involved in the community. And I chose Townsend because a friend of mine who retired from the fire service in Newport, Iowa, settled out here about 3-4 years ago. And I've been sneaking in and out of here for that time and really enjoying this place. I'm setting up roots, plan on being here until I pass away. And my experience is obviously with EMS and fire, but also with primary care. That's what I did for the last 3 years in Oklahoma, rural family medicine, from conception to death. What I heard from the community over the last couple of years was they were tired of not seeing a doctor most of the time over here, and they were tired of being transferred out of here every time they came into the hospital. So my goal is to change that and keep as much as I can. There's things that we can't take care of, I don't care how big our hospital is, but there will be things that we can. And one of the things that are top of my agenda is to improve our intensive care, to keep critical patients here. I did quite a bit of training on intensive care while I was back in Oklahoma. Obviously I know my limitations and prefer to take care of the community right here like they wanted. I do everything from, I won't do birth and babies anymore, that's just too extensive. But from newborns on up, I'm all there. Women's health, men's health, pediatrics, especially pediatrics. Emergency situations, etc. So I like to say I was trained like they taught family doctors 30 years ago. We will have people that will be working in the emergency room and admitting people to the floor, but I guarantee you that if a new admission comes into the hospital, I'll see them. And I'll be there when they're discharged and part of their care plan on a daily basis. So I'm excited to be here. I'm dug in. I'm wanting to see this place grow. I think it's a great opportunity. And, you know, I'm one of these people that's very approachable. If you want to talk to me, you see me on the streets, grab me by the scruff of the neck and say, hey, come here. I'm a direct and to-the-point person. You know, you should always know where I'm coming from. So, thanks for letting me introduce myself. And again, I'm excited to be here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Apologize. Did Jill want to get introduced as well?
Yeah.
So Jill's our newest addition. Dr. Kenny joined us a week ago. Jill joins us today. Jill comes from
Last name, please.
LeBon.
Okay, thank you.
Capital L, A, capital B, A, C.
E-L-L-E.
LebLanc.
LEBLANC.
I'm sorry. Yes, the worst speller of the
White.
Anyhow, we're happy to have Jill. She comes with a broad base of experience in helping men, emergency departments, and doing also clinic work. I don't know, Jill, why don't you just say a quick word about being in Montana?
Yeah, we love it in Montana. We moved from South Louisiana about 1.5 years ago. And when I saw Townsend had a job opening, I called April immediately because this is where my family wants to be. And I've done everything from pediatrics to family practice to internal medicine to intensive care. So I'm with Dr. Kenny that I'm pretty comfortable doing about everything but birthing babies. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So should we start now?
Yeah.
I'm going to hold this chair over here so people can see this chart a little bit. I know it's just hand-drawn, but you'll have to put up with this. Again, these are the Crowley Fleck determinations on potential of a loan circumstance. And these are the bullet points that we're going to be going over. I apologize for that too. And there are copies here
I got that.
also. So first of all, I want to thank the county commissioners and people who are here to hear our request. This is all about bridging an action and right-sizing our facility for the community. In the last 4 years, there's been a change in the marketplace. And that's caused us to take a harder look at how we deliver the service and how we would right-size this service for the longevity. And just so you have an idea, there's about 5 communities left in the state that have not licensed themselves as a 25-bed critical access hospital. A few of those are Big Sandy, Circle, Culbertson, Jordan, and Ekalaka. The reason, quote, they are looking at becoming a licensed 25-bed critical access hospital is it really does bring Medicare online to help minimize your risk. And the whole idea here is to ask for a bridge loan and get us through the right sizing process. We had a tough 6 months. Just to give you an idea, I think we only had one influenza patient through the whole flu season, thanks to the community being very cautious about not coming in if they didn't feel good. But we didn't lose people because of the flu. It was just old age. And we had about 12 patients, residents pass between December and March, maybe even closer to that, December, January, February. And losing that kind of revenue in just 1 month represents about $25,000 or $65,000 a month loss of revenue when you lose 12 patients out of a 32-bed licensed facility. There's nothing we can do about that other than right-sizing our facility. I just want to digress just a second. We were awarded by the USDA about $2.9 million to go ahead with a quote an assisted living process. And once we got the feasibility completed, that feasibility said it would take us almost 3 years to fill both a 16-bed assisted living unit and the 32-bed nursing home. And that caused us to have some pause, because that takes cash to get through something like that. And as it happens, the market changed, and we saw 16 new assisted living beds come in, and then another 12 beds come in to the community. Market changes, we have to adapt to that. And so we were looking at alternatives, and the alternative is probably to relicense to a 25-bed critical access hospital, which would allow us to have anywhere from 18 to 20 nursing home beds, but in the correct terminology with the federal government, those are called intermediate skilled beds. So through a process of people passing and not accepting new patients, we would condense down to about 18 to 20 skilled intermediate nursing home beds, and keep 5 to 7 inpatient hospital beds available. We think that right sizes us for at least the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years. But during that time, what we get caught up in is losses that we experienced in the last 6 months, which amount to about $450,000 to $500,000. Real money, obviously. And the bridge process. And what do I mean by the bridge process? Well, it takes time to get the relicense. It takes time for Medicare to recognize that relicense. Then Medicare has to come back and kind of size their obligation to a 25-bed critical access hospital. It takes us probably some time to get down to the 18, 20 beds of nursing home beds, which is probably about a 6-month period of time where we may not get paid by Medicare. We'll get paid eventually, and the sooner we get paid, the sooner we can pay back the loan of $1 million. And how do we come up with $1 million? The losses of $450,000 and then not getting paid by Medicare in that lag time the next 3 months from now till probably January, February of 2018. So what we're offering a proposal to, quote, right-size the facility based on what the market is telling us. And we think this will make us stronger in the future. And I will say, when we talk about strength, I will share with you that I think we probably have the strongest medical staff assembled at Broadwater Health Center than we've ever had. I got to witness Dr. Kenny's exit from his residency program. I've never seen anybody so well thought of, and his program director of 30 years in the Tulsa University of Oklahoma program actually wants to come up in August to see how he's doing. It's a real family that he left, and what I'm hoping this community will do is embrace him as their family, his family, and make this all come together. One of the things that we've experienced in the last 6 months is low volume in almost every aspect. So if you had an 8-cylinder or a 6-cylinder car and you were hitting on half the cylinders, we were hitting on all half of those cylinders. And we think that will change with you, hopefully, using our medical clinic on the 2nd floor and keeping your service here. We've, at almost no cost, added the CT unit, MRI capabilities, ultrasound capabilities, physician and mid-levels. What's really important to know is we are manning the ER and the inpatient 24/7, and then we have the clinic availability with 2 physician and mid-level provider every day. We're going to expand those hours to 10 hours a day so that we can offer better service to people. And so we're doing everything we can to get where you want us to be. You've told us 51 to 52% of the primary care leaves this county, and we think we've had now Helena residents begin moving their files to us, and so that's kind of exciting. Maybe it's best that I pause and ask for questions or comments. I will tell you that it's pretty rewarding to see that we maintain our 5-star rating, that we are still one of 1% of the nursing homes across the country that have ever achieved a no deficiency survey. So you've got a fine facility here, and you've got wonderful staff. And it's because of that staff that we've maintained that 5-star rating. So maybe just stop there, and I know this is it's alarming to us when we saw those losses happen. I just don't think that's going to continue in the next 6 months with the kind of exemplary staff that we've pulled together and built. And so we're excited about our future, very excited. I think right sizing is the answer. That's what almost every 25-bed critical access hospital in the state has done. When we recertified, it took us 1.5 years to get the nursing home reopened. It was hard work. Feds don't recognize the closed facility even though it was there 5 minutes prior. But at that time, 4.5 years ago, we had a waiting list. There weren't competing assisted living facilities. And it's great they're here. I think it keeps more people here, but it does affect occupancy of that nursing home and will for the next hour to 2 hours. Year to the next 2 years.
Bill Upthegrove, Secretary Treasurer of the Board. I was here earlier and I heard the commissioners got a lot of phone calls, and so did I get it. Some of the questions asked of me is, why are you asking for more PILT money? We're not asking for PILT money, nor are we asking for a gift. But the real question was, we're asking for a loan, how are we going to repay it? Kyle, would you explain how we intend to
Well,
repay
first of
this?
all, it's really important. In the last 4.5 years, we inherited about $4 million in debt 4.5 years ago, just to operate and pay for the facility. Can anybody guess, I probably read it, but can anybody guess how much money we paid off in the last 4.5 years on a $5.5 million budget? Well, let me just stop for a second. Let's just say your gross revenues, your personal gross revenues, could you pay anywhere from 1/2 to 3/4 of that off in 4 years? Not possible. We've come a long, long, long ways. And so we paid off $2.8 million. So we think we've paid 3 times what we're asking for over a 4-year period of time. So we think very clearly we can meet that obligation. Now, unfortunately, and maybe somebody does here, I don't have a crystal ball. But when you look at the kind of staff that we have assembled, when you look at the services we have available, and when you look at our competitive nature that we are set to go forward in, I think it's a good bet. I don't know if that got to the answer.
And I guess the other half of that question is, why don't we go get our own loan?
That's probably the best question. We don't own the building. We don't own the land. We don't have any collateral. We don't have any collateral. If we owned the building, if we owned everything that was in it, we could go and collateralize. And what we have done, we have collateralized. We got the CT free because it was through grant monies. We've collateralized that. But we can't go much further. And so it's a real important consideration that we're funded this. We've gone through, I mean, I don't know of a county in the state of Montana that forgot to assess the mill levy. And we had to deal with that. That's $150,000 that we had to either extend out or adjust that we had built into our budget. So we've come a long ways. We've paid off $2.8 million in the last 4.5 years of debt. I challenge any operator in ag or in your personal finances to have accomplished something like that in 4.5 years, when it amounts to about half to 3/4 of your operational budget. I don't think anybody here could match that. So we're working hard, very hard. And more questions?
Kyle, there had been a question, it's been a while, over a year, about a partnership or acquisition or something from a larger regional hospital. Any future prospect of that?
The answer, that's a really good question. We are creating partnerships. And to give you an example, because of the way care is paid for, one of the larger facilities has done a budget analysis, and they found if they can refer a patient into our skilled care hospital quicker than they are discharging them from their facility, it'd save them $17 million a year. To us, that might be $500,000 to $1 million. And so we've signed a letter of agreement with that health group to work closely on quicker discharges and then good therapy services cared for when the patient comes back to us. And these would be patients for a 100-mile radius. It's not a new concept. The Mayo Clinic implemented this about 24 months ago. And just give you a story, they had a cardiologist, and they had lots of small rural hospitals that were about to go under. And they said, you know, we need cardiac rehab, we need good cardiac rehab. Help us go model that out in the rural settings. And it was an incredible turnaround. Patients got better care. That was number one, by getting closer to home and having family available. And number two, it pulled the debt circumstance away from the small rural hospital, and it also helped the Mayo Clinic. So, great combination. So we're working on that, on individual partners. I will tell you that we met with all of the major facilities in hospitals, systems, and actually some of the response was, you need to sort of clean things up and then we'll come back and talk to you. So we're there, and I think the partnerships are really, really important, and I'm glad you asked that question, because it's one of our imperatives that we continue to work on, and we have partnerships with that health system. We have good relationships with all the rest of the systems. We are part of a MONIDA that would help us keep our costs down and works on our billing. So there's a lot of things we're doing that get us to answering that question very positively.
Kyle, I might have been too busy writing. Could you tell me again why there'll be a lapse in what Medicare will pay during this transition time?
Good question. So it will take us, the relicensing process is about 90 days. And when that license triggers in, we get into Medicare reimbursement, and Medicare will then require us to do an interim cost report. They will not pay us more money until that cost report, it's like tax return, only an interim tax return, to ensure that we have done what we said we were gonna do, and to look at the overall costs. They don't wanna pay us more than and they don't wanna pay us less, they wanna pay us on target. And that will take about 90 days to maybe even 6 months to determine. And so there's a bridge during that period of time of transition that not gonna get paid.
Okay, thanks.
I would add, and we haven't talked about this as a board yet, the state of Montana, because of low revenues, is just about to give, from Blue Cross Blue Shield back to the state, the management of the Medicaid expansion bills. And the state claims to be able to do it with a third of the people. And I can almost guarantee, I don't know where Jenny is, that we'll see a 2 to 3 month suddenly stop in being paid for our Medicaid patients.
So we're gonna get hit on both sides.
We're gonna get hit on both sides.
Yeah.
They've already started. You missed a comma on your name.
Just to kind of recap, and this is a fact, there are many people walking around this community today that are alive because of our excellent trauma care from our staff. You know about them, you know of them. Frankly, they wouldn't have made it anywhere else. They couldn't have traveled that far away. We can make all kinds of excuses of why we might send our patients to Helen or Bozeman. But we can do this service here, and especially if you use it. We're given excellent care, demonstrated by the 5-star ratings that we've been able to get. We paid off in 4.5 years 2.8 million when we had an operational budget of just 5.5 million. We started with 4, now we're up to about 6.2, 6.3 million. It's an incredible growth and a phenomenal response that this community has had. We have 12 employees 4.5 years ago with a $480,000 total budget. And today, because of the intensity of care that we're offering, we have 60 full-time